Hello and welcome back to my channel. I'm JJ the Bearded Bookworm, and today I'm going to be talking about books that are soon to be released that I kind of have my eye on, that kind of have piqued my interest. And without further ado, let's just jump right into it. So the first book actually comes out the day I'm posting this video. I had plans on doing this video a week or two ago, but I just had trouble finding books that interested me, and going on to publishers' websites and checking the coming soon and figuring out which site is related to the types of books that I read is actually really difficult, and actually something that publishers should work on, because it's near impossible to figure out, okay, here's a publisher that I follow, and trying to figure out what books come out when. It's just something that they should work. So this book, I not only have my eye on, I actually pre-ordered it, and it's coming in the day after this video goes live. And that is The City We Became by N.K. Jemisin. You may know N.K. Jemisin from her other popular books. I have not actually read any of her books yet. I have the 5th season on hold at my library, and it's a really popular book, so it's going to be a couple months before I get that one. So The City We Became is actually an urban fantasy, which I'm kind of hit or miss on whether or not I like that genre specifically or not. But this premise was really compelling to me. So in the story, these great cities that we know have souls. And some of these souls are super ancient, or they might be brand new. And New York actually has many souls. New York actually has many souls that actually correspond to the different boroughs of New York. So like Bronx, Manhattan, etc. And each of these people kind of forget who they were and kind of become in tune with the city itself and the needs of the city. And so all of these 5 different like avatar type characters all have to come together and fight against this ancient evil that's actually threatening to destroy New York. I don't necessarily know what it was about this, other than I like this kind of like avatar, like the spirit or the scion of the city. Them all coming together to try to fight, the big bad. N.K. Jemisin is a really popular author, award-winning and whatnot. Since she has a new series starting, I figured I might as well jump on the train and go along with the journey. So the next book that I have my eye on is actually our only sci-fi book for the next couple months that I have my eye on, and that is Vagabonds by Hao Jingfeng. I apologize if I butchered that name, which I am 99% sure I did. But Vagabonds is a sci-fi story that was originally written in Chinese and now translated into English and is releasing on April 14th. Vagabonds is also translated by Ken Liu, who was also the translator for The 3-Body Problem and that entire series. Vagabonds takes place after a major civil war. Now the civil war takes place between Earth and Mars. And Mars is trying to has been trying to get its independence from Earth. Now, to kind of repair the tension in this post-Civil War environment between these two planets, Mars sends a delegation of young people to go and live among the people of Earth and try to, like I said, kind of ease the tensions and kind of show like, hey, we're all human. Now this group of young people goes back to Mars and finds itself with these conflicted allegiances between Earth and Mars, and understanding what their place is. That's all I know about this book, but I really enjoy these interplanetary kind of civil war and tensions, because I can only imagine, in the future, if humanity goes to other planets. As of right now, I can't imagine interstellar travel being fast enough to make multiple planets under one government, a viable option. Much like we see in The Expanse, where, the fact that Mars and Earth are so far apart, even though they have super fast speed, there's not a way to viably unite them under one government. So the next book that I have my eye on is Mark Lawrence's new installment in his ever-growing world. And that book is The Girl in the Stars, which releases on April 21st. This is the first book in a new trilogy to go alongside with his other popular trilogies. This one takes place in a super cold environment, almost like a Arctic civilization like that we would know of. The main character that we follow is a girl named Yaz, and her clan kind of revolves around this huge pit where anybody that displays any sort of weakness or whatever they have deemed as a weakness, because of the harsh environment and because of the effort of living as a group, surviving as a group, you have to cut out all the weak bits. And so Yaz grows up knowing that eventually she's going to be thrown into this pit. And as that time is drawing nearer and nearer and nearer, she discovers that this world is actually really much older than she ever thought. And basically, I believe she strikes out on her own and kind of develops and realizes that her weaknesses that she thought were weaknesses can actually be used as strengths. And who knows where it goes from there, but that's kind of the premise of this book. Mark Lawrence's other trilogies are on my to be purchased list, I guess. I really want to read them. I was this close to buying The Prince of Thorns, but I kind of got convinced of otherwise because I recently purchased a ton of books, and honestly, logistically, I wouldn't have been able to get to it anytime soon. So I haven't gotten it yet, but with this new trilogy starting, much like N.K. Jemisin's, might as well start on the train and just kind of see where this separate trilogy comes from. One note is, if you don't know, Mark Lawrence's trilogies, although in the same world, each take place in either different parts of the world or are very loosely connected. So it's not, they're not direct sequels or anything like that. Next up is a debut novel, and that is Kingdom of Liars by Nick Martell, which releases on May 5th. Now, I heard about Kingdom of Liars watching one of Brandon Sanderson's live streams where he talked about books that he'd been reading recently, and he said this is a really good book and worth checking out. And then I further researched, and it interested me. The premise seemed interesting, and so it's on the list. So Kingdom of Liars is about a boy named Michael, and Michael was branded a traitor by his father for murdering the king's 9-year-old son. And in this world, the price, I guess, for magic is that of your memories. And so Michael doesn't actually remember any of this. And so 10 years later, he's been kind of surviving doing crimes, kind of working as a criminal of various varieties, and eventually finds himself able to get himself onto the king's council, kind of playing political court and whatnot. And now he's trying to navigate court and figure out what happened, because he has these kind of, it's described as like a blinding white kind of fire in that spot where the memory should be. And he knows that what he knows isn't actually what happened. And so he's trying to kind of uncover all these secrets of what actually happened. Alright, so next is Forged in Fire and Stars by Andrea Robertson, which also releases on May 5th. Now, this book I'm kind of on the kind of see how reviews are, see what people want, but it's intrigued me enough that it's on the list. I'm kind of just keeping my eyes, seeing how it's received. This story is about a girl who was an apprentice and trained to be the next loresmith. Now, loresmiths are the ones who forge the legendary weapons for, the army, and is basically like it's a big deal to be the loresmith. The only issue is the kingdom falls, and this girl basically just assumes that everything that she's worked for in her life is now never going to be achieved, and is kind of living this quiet life of, quiet everyday life until the prince and princess of the kingdom that was overthrown come to her and say, we're getting our throne back. We need you to be our loresmith. And basically follows that journey there. Now, I don't actually really care about the prince and princess getting their throne back as of right now, but this concept of the loresmith, these legendary forgers that make these great legendary weapons, that intrigues me. That's a fun concept to put forth. And like I said, this is kind of on the wait and see, kind of see how it's received, see if how I'm feeling is actually how the book actually is. And if it is, then I will definitely be picking that up. Now, the next book is House of Dragons by Jessica Cluess, I believe is how you say it. And this one releases on May 12th. In House of Dragons, the Emperor has died, and the 5 major royal houses all come to what's called the Call. Typically, the eldest child is the one who takes the throne, but this time it's a little bit different, and each of the houses has an opportunity to take the throne for themselves. And so each of them kind of put forth a individual to compete in order to get this throne. Now, in the synopsis, the 5 characters that are put forth for this competition are listed as: you have the liar, you have the soldier, you have the servant, the thief, and the murderer. And so each of them kind of briefly, like, the liar is somebody that uses dark magic, that doesn't show it, doesn't let anybody know that they have that ability. The soldier is somebody who has vowed to never take up their sword again. The servant is a dragon tamer. The thief is a thief, knowing they have to take what they can to get what they want. And the murderer is apparently a royal who won't stop at anything to get what they want, the throne. Now, I'm calling it right now, and I'm going to be super pissed if this is actually how this plays out. These 5 characters that are supposed to be competing are actually going to come together and team up like an adventuring party, because you got all the elements of a D&D squad. You got your wizard, you got your soldier, you got your beast tamer, you got your royal person, and you got a thief. Like, what more could you want from an adventuring party? Like, honestly. Now, I have zero inclinations that this is actually what it's going to happen. I just got a hunch when I was like, wait, none of these people have any, like, crossover in kind of skill or concept. I'm pretty sure they're all going to team up and kind of be their own little band of heroes. Finally, we have our last book, and this one is also on our very skeptical wait and see list. However, it is also on everybody else's anticipated release list, and that is the new Hunger Games novel coming out, The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. If for some reason you were living under a rock or just haven't looked into this at all, this takes place in the same world as the Hunger Games and follows the 10th Hunger Games. But the main character is President Snow from the original series, when he was a coach or mentor or whatever they call it for the Hunger Games. And basically follows him having to navigate the kind of surrounding bits of Hunger Games. Essentially, be like, what would Hunger Games be like if we followed Haymitch instead of Katniss? But instead we're following President Snow, who we all know turns into a really bad guy. And so I'm so skeptical about this book that I don't have any plans to buy it. I think my wife does, and if that's the case, then it'll be in my house and then I will read it. But I have zero intentions of actually seeking out to actually buy this, unless I see that everybody's just singing its praises and it is, every bit as good as, the original Hunger Games. So that's all I have for today. Those are all of the books that I'm anticipating here in the next 2 months or so. I'll do another one of these videos probably at the end of May, talking about June, July, and August. Comment down below. Let me know what books you're anticipating here in the next couple months. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I'm JJ the Bearded Bookworm, and I'll see you in a couple days.